To better understand who we are and where we're going, we need to understand where we came from. These words ring true, be they in our world or one of fiction. Once again, we're about our business of providing you, the viewer, with a richer PSO2 experience by exploring the things that make this universe what it is. My name's Zio, and I'll be your lore keeper. Episode 4 would signal a major pivot both in terms of gameplay and narrative. Rather than a continuation of the world building established in the first 3 episodes, this one is a major departure. It takes place on a rather familiar planet. That's right, this place called Earth, but in an alternate dimension. I'll provide a brief synopsis of major events throughout this episode, dubbed the Earth Arc. The year is AP 241. We were put on ice after our encounter with the profound darkness. But nap time's over. It's back to work. We meet the one responsible for rousing us from our 2-year slumber. Her name is Xiera, and she is our personal operator in addition to the ship's administrator. She tells us that we've been asleep for 2 years and brings us up to speed on everything that's happened so far. ARCS had restructured once again. The Council of 6 was disbanded and its members placed in leadership roles throughout the new departments. There's been a surge in suspicious ARCS ops as of late. As part of our rehabilitation, we're sent to Nefarious alongside a rookie ARCS op by the name of Hitsugi. Things appear to be going well for the duo until a shadowy figure appears in front of them. What's going on here? Is this a false spawn, or something else altogether? So after that, this Hitsugi disappears and a teenage girl pops out of a computer monitor. Her name's also Hitsugi Yasuka, a student at Celestia Academy in a world not too different from our own. The poor girl's trying to make sense of what just happened to her. Could this be just a bug? Well, that is, until she sees the boy lying in her bed that looks an awful lot like her PSO2 character. The boy wakes up and, well, he is equally perplexed. There's a knock on the door, and a zombie-like creature busts in, knocking Hitsugi to the ground. The zombie makes a move on Hitsugi, then we come in to save the day. But this wasn't the only zombie though, there were more waiting for us. After the skirmish, Xiera tells us they're both okay, and we head home. Back on the ship, Xiera tells us that we went to a completely different dimension, and we were on the planet called Earth. This leaves us with more questions than answers still. It seems our actions on Nefarious created a link with Hitsugi, well, both of them, which let us travel to Earth. This also has another interesting side effect of letting us observe Hitsugi's day-to-day life. The monsters we fought were called phantasms, and we still need to ascertain their origins. Hitsugi and the mystery boy settle on the name Al, and that he's her younger brother. The Earth of 2028 has experienced a massive communications boon thanks to an energy called Ether. Everyone's into this game called PSO2. Hitsugi and her friend Kori Washinomiya are part of a group called Mother Core and essentially work as QA testers reporting bugs. The Earthlings believe that Oracle's dimension is just a game and that its inhabitants are merely bugs. We also learn about the Eska app developer YMT Corporation and its leader Hagito Anie. Hitsugi decides to do some more investigating within PSO2, but something's different here. Wait, why is she in her regular clothes? Xiera tells her to come up to the bridge. The poor girl has some questions, but just can't find the right words. She wants to know more about us, and more importantly, Al. Back on Earth, student council life goes on, but recent events weigh heavy on Hitsugi's mind. The next day, the trio heads into town, and they run into a rather familiar face. Wait, that's the guy on TV from the other day. He wants the girls to test a new app, and sits there and listens in on their conversation. The guy's a total creeper. The girl's suspicions were right. That is indeed YMT's CEO, Hagito Anie. Hitsugi encounters her big bro Enga in the girl's dorm of all places. He wants to make sure Hitsugi isn't doing anything inappropriate. Is he on to something? Back in the student council room, we see Mr. Creeper CEO again. Turns out Celestia Academy is his alma mater. Hitsugi brings Al onto the ARC ship. They join us up on the bridge where Al meets Xiera. She tries to shake his hand, but he and Hitsugi both disappear the moment they touch. Just where did they go? Wait, they're back in Hitsugi's room. Error code Olympia. Soon after that, a group of phantasms shows up. Kori shows up and takes the duo outside. We see Hagito again, or rather Haggith, disciple of Venus of Mother Core. He's come for Al at Mother's behest. Hitsugi's not ready to give up, so she manifests her own avatar arm, the Ameno Habakiri. Haggith is understandably dumbfounded, as is Hitsugi, but she's very much outnumbered here. This is where we come in. Haggith didn't account for any of this, and our appearance threw a huge monkey wrench into his plan. Hitsugi and Al join us on the bridge, where we're joined by Xiera and one other person. Her name's Aika, and she's been gathering intel on Earth. Turns out both sides have been in contact for a while now. They brought back quite the info dump, and Xiera needs some time to digest it all. Turns out the events of 12 years ago and 2 years ago have one common thread: the profound darkness. There's an explosion at one of the dorms. Wait, was that Enga's room? We meet the man responsible for that big boom. His name is Beitor Zelazny, disciple of Jupiter. He's a famous American movie director with a penchant for explosions that would make even Michael Bay blush. Only his explosions cause actual damage. We encounter Beitor again, but this time someone else comes on the scene to save the day. It's Hitsugi's big bro Enga. That big boom didn't kill him after all. Turns out there's more to Enga than meets the eye. Beitor's beaten, and we're introduced to the other disciples. Beitor's explosive shenanigans had finally crossed the line, so now his very existence was on the cutting room floor. Before they leave, Ophiel issues a chilling ultimatum: turn over Al, and the world will be safe. Back on the ship, Enga formally introduces himself. He's a member of a group called Earth Guide, and his boss wants to meet us personally. He's working as the liaison between ARX and Earth Guide. He also tells us that he and Hitsugi are the sole survivors of a mysterious accident at a shopping mall that killed everyone, including their parents. So we're in Las Vegas, headed to Earth Guide HQ, and of course little sister Hitsugi tags along. Someone else shows up, and apparently Enga knows her already. She's blocking his bullets like they're nothing. Her name is Phaleg Ives, Mother Core disciple of Mars. Only she doesn't care about Mother Core's or Earth Guide's goals. She just wants to fight strong opponents. And we're the ones able to scratch that itch. We finally meet Adam Sacred, leader of Earth Guide. Adam tells us that Mother Core had been using PSO2 to scout out people with high ether affinity. They're also using it to spy on Oracle's dimension. Turns out this double espionage game had been going on for a while. We're attacked again, but this time Corey's here. The girls cross blades and Hitsugi is beaten rather handily. The Ameno Habakiri breaks and Hitsugi is mortally wounded. Al comes on the scene and uses his power to heal Hitsugi. Oak and Ophiel are also there, but they end up taking Hitsugi instead. We have no idea where they took her. Her readings aren't anywhere to be found on Earth. Adam tells us that Mother Core's home base is on the moon. Naturally, that's our next destination. We find Hitsugi after facing off against Oak and Full. But she's a complete vegetable. This whole thing was a setup, and Hitsugi was used as the bait. The ARC ship is hijacked and subsequently sent back to Oracle's dimension. Xiera starts putting 2 and 2 together and realizes this whole thing was done by a Xion clone. Mother comes busting into the bridge and confirms all this. Of all the failed attempts at replicating Xion, she was the first. She wants revenge against the photoners that spurned her. The photoners may be extinct, but she still wants to exterminate all they had created, including ARCs. To achieve this, she needs to merge with a hybrid of ether and photons. This is where Al comes in. Just as Mother absorbs Al, Hitsugi's resolve gives rise to a brand new avatar arm, the Ameno Murakumo, complete with a change of clothes. Xiera gets control of the ARC ship and Mother's forces pull back. She got what she wanted anyway. Back on Earth, we see some rather familiar looking fiends. They look like the false spawn that we've been fighting all this time. A byproduct of Mother's merger with Al, no doubt. One of these freaks tries to attack Corey, but Hitsugi dives in front of it to save her. Corey appears to have woken up for a second before Ophiel comes back on the scene to regain control of her. The girls would cross blades one more time, but with our help, Hitsugi would use the Ameno Murakumo to break Mother Core's control over Corey once and for all. With Corey back on our side, it was time to go to the moon and finish this, and save Al. We confront Mother, who tells us of her origins and how she wound up in this dimension. She was set adrift for millennia before crashing into the planet Earth. Over time, the shattered remnants would coalesce to form that Earth's moon. Mother's overwhelmed by the power she stole and subsequently turns into a new Dark Falls. Hitsugi would use the Ameno Murakumo to save Mother by purifying her. But this isn't a happy ending though. Adam comes on the scene to kill Mother. Ophiel's with him too. Turns out he'd been working for Adam the whole time. So we make our way deep into Earthguide HQ to confront Adam. We beat him, but he has one final ace up his sleeve. Adam assumes the form of a being called Deus Esca. He seals up everyone's ether and sends us back to Oracle's dimension. Al realizes that Mother's consciousness still exists within his body. She then uses that power to send us back to Earth and restore everyone's ether. We fight alongside the Earth trio, and Deus Esca is brought low. So after that, things pretty much return to normal on Earth. It's time for humanity to begin a new adventure, one not guided by outside forces. Well, that was episode 4 for you. As always, thank you so much for watching, and remember, to thine own self be true. Until next time, farewell.